Bill Maher called out CNN's Caitlin Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN. And what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. But she's kind of saying I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis.
Recently, we showed you Bill Maher calling out Caitlin Collins for her criticism of Karoline Leavitt. You'd think that might have made Caitlin reconsider her approach, but instead, she doubled down. The CNN anchor continues to target Leavitt, Trump, and Elon Musk with even more aggressive attacks. This time, Bill didn't hold back, delivering an even harsher takedown, an unfiltered dose of truth. And lucky for you, we've got all the receipts. Let's dive in.
A lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show.
But before we get to Bill Maher's brutal takedown, let's take a moment to unpack why Maher, someone who voted for Biden, now seems to be aligning more with Republicans. Here's the thing, woke journalists have been setting traps for Trump since before he even won the presidency, and few have been as relentless as Caitlin Collins. In the clip we just saw, Collins was on the hunt for a gotcha moment, something to paint Trump as unfit for office. It was a setup, plain and simple.
And weapons if you're elected. What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Can I just follow up on that because that's a really important statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying.
Instead of asking direct questions, Collins rambled, filibustering her own interview, classic CNN tactics. This wasn't about getting real answers, it was about setting a trap, crafting convoluted, knowing questions designed to make Trump stumble, or, even better, create a soundbite the media could run with for days. But Trump, like a seasoned boxer, dodged every punch. He bobbed, weaved, and slipped right through her grasp, then landed a counterpunch. One moment, Caitlin thought she had him cornered, the next, she was the one scrambling. Brutal. And this wasn't her first rodeo, but as always, Trump flipped the script. Still, Caitlin kept coming. This time, she went after Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., right after an assassination attempt on him. Trump Jr. didn't hold back, calling out the media for fueling the attack by constantly comparing his father to Hitler. He's not wrong. For nearly a decade, the media has painted Trump as America's ultimate villain, a dictator hell-bent on destroying the country. They've demonized him, mocked him, and turned him into a monster.
Hold on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person.
Did you catch Caitlin Collins smugly throwing out that J.D. Vance once compared Trump to Hitler? So what? Vance didn't have the media's power or influence, his words didn't carry the same weight. And more importantly, he eventually saw through the media's manufactured narrative and realized Trump wasn't the villain they made him out to be. That's when Bill Maher had enough. He saw the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the disastrous impact of these media-driven smear campaigns. This time, he wasn't letting them off easy. Maher called out the media's relentless bias, exposing how Caitlin Collins and her colleagues have spent years pushing a one-sided narrative, painting Biden as a saint and Trump as the ultimate sinner. But they're not reporting the news, they're manufacturing it. Their obsession with keeping Democrats in power has led to non-stop negative coverage of Trump, twisting every word, spinning every headline, and fueling an outrage machine. And when it comes to their own side? Silence. Case in point, Hunter Biden's laptop. Leaked evidence of corruption, shady foreign deals, and influence peddling, but Caitlyn and her team buried the story.
But can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it. Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned.
Imagine if Donald Trump Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter Biden's baggage, CNN would have run wall-to-wall coverage for weeks. That's exactly why Maher snapped. He sees it, the media isn't just biased, they're activists in disguise. And this time, he wasn't letting them off the hook. The Hunter Biden scandal is as bad as it sounds. Honestly, we're lucky he didn't convince his dad to hand over the nuclear codes for a quick payday. Considering his track record, would anyone be surprised? The man has made a business out of selling access and influence. But sure, let's all keep pretending Trump is the real villain here. The media bends over backward to protect the Bidens, acting like Hunter is just a misunderstood guy with personal struggles. But let's be real, if Trump Jr. had even half the scandals Hunter does, the media wouldn't just be calling for accountability, they'd be calling for his public execution. The hypocrisy is off the charts.
The Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only...
The media keeps manufacturing scandals out of thin air when it comes to Trump, but when hard evidence of corruption drops with Hunter, crickets. That's exactly why people like Bill Maher, who once leaned left, are finally calling out the nonsense. At some point, even lifelong Democrats have to admit this isn't journalism, it's propaganda. And guess what? Caitlyn Collins wasn't the only one getting called out. Megyn Kelly nailed it. No matter how hard Collins tries, she can't outrun the biased journalist label. She's as left-leaning as CNN's editorial board at a Biden fundraiser. The sooner she drops the impartial journalist act, the better, because no one's buying it. And honestly, Megyn had some pro tips for her. Collins needs to smile more and ditch the perpetual smirk, it's like she's allergic to warmth. You can be a tough interviewer without looking like you're actively plotting your guest's downfall. There's a fine line between sharp and cold-hearted, and right now, Caitlyn is walking around.
And the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is. It's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer.
Sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay,
and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Senior is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money. But Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son, his ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, heard his voicemails to his Hunter.
So, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it. And
maybe it's time Caitlyn Collins takes the hint. Even Ben Shapiro is calling out CNN's fake neutrality. Deep down, even left-wing viewers know it's all theater, they just like the stories that make them feel morally superior. The real issue? Journalists like Caitlyn don't just want access, they want control. And when they don't get it, they cry attacks on democracy. Meanwhile, the real threat is a media that only respects the presidency when a Democrat holds it. And the hypocrisy doesn't stop there. Karine Jean-Pierre oversaw some of the most restrictive press policies ever, yet now she attacks Caroline Leavitt for limiting access. When Democrats do it, it's security. When Republicans do